Hey guys, Kid here. I'm bringing you a new deck tech, this time on Sword Art Online English. Well, I guess this also bleeds kind of into the Japanese also, since all the cards are out for both English and Japanese in Sword Art Online. This coming weekend, there is a regional coming up in Southern California at Pomona Fairplex. I will be there and I will be playing, it looks like I will be playing Sword Art Online. I might change it last minute, not very sure, but I figured give you guys a little sneak peek on the current version I have put together. It's probably going to change a little bit by this coming Sunday. There's like some cards I want to change around, but I figured, hey, why not? Let's just put this out there. I don't think it matters that much right now that people see this build for the regional. I'm not too worried about like losing pretty bad, but here we go. So for Sword Art, the new set came out. It's like the only reason I even want to play Sword Art in the first place. I think the extra booster buffed it up enough that it's I don't want to say the best deck currently, but it is one of the best decks. I'd say Sword Art and Love Live right now. Probably Fairy Tail also would be like the three decks if I end up playing against, I'd be like kind of worried depending on how good the player is and how good their current build is. But hopefully I end up taking first place this weekend. If not, I'll be pretty sad. Maybe I'll do something silly and like go out to Texas to try to get a qualifying spot, but who knows. Anyway, let's start it off. This is a new card in the extra booster that just recently came out. It's basically a runner. This card has whenever the start of your opponent's attack step, you can mill the top card of your deck. If it's Net or Avatar, I believe. Yeah, you can move it to an empty slot in the front row. Great way to keep a hand advantage and like mill your deck and stuff. Best part too is if your entire field is full, you can still use the ability even though it can't move. Secondary ability is when it attacks, you can pick one of your other Shinon characters and give it 1,000 power for the turn. Synergizes with the deck. Right now I have it at 4 in this test build I've been running. Probably gonna cut it down, like down to 3. Card has been great turn 1 play. After that, it's been pretty mediocre and just level up and clog fodder. Next, we run 2 of this Elizabeth Beater. If your opponent has 3 or less stock, it gains 1,000 power, so it's 3/5, and pretty good beater for the most part. Kind of just like threw it in the deck because it was able to kill level 1 or anti-suiciders and stuff like that. And it is red. Red's since I have a red level 1 game, it gives me another level target and a little bit more red to make sure my level 1 game is a little bit more consistent. Pretty decent card. Maybe I haven't been disappointed in this card, but it's pretty mediocre. It might get cut by Sunday. Next, one of the best level 0 Suiciders is the new Silica Suicider. This card is a level 0 Suicider, but also has a ability as when it comes into play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's Net or Avatar, add it to your hand, then ditch one. This helps you mill your deck a lot faster. I salvage this card a lot. Also helps you hand fix and ditch climaxes for free, which is awesome. And you know, it's a level 0 Suicider, so you can kill pesky level 0s your opponent plays. Love this card. That's why it's at 4. Probably won't be changing it. It's amazing, and honestly, every style deck should be running this card. Next, we have 2 Shinon Searchers. This is one of those pay 1, clock yourself 1 from the top of your deck, then search your deck for a level 2 or higher character and add it to hand. We use this to search out support and level 3s early on and easy hand advantage. Also, when you're at 0/6 after clocking, you can use this ability to get to level 1, so you can clear your opponent's field if they left you at 3/5, or not 3/5, wow. Level 0, or like at 5 damage, and you want to get to level 1 first. Love this card. Because it only searches for level 2 or higher, don't really need a lot of it. It's at 2 right now, probably going to stay at 2. Great card, though. Hand advantage is very important in this deck due to this level 3 game. So we have 3 Silica Brainstormers from the first set. I like Salvage Brainstorms. That's like the only reason this one's in this set, or in this deck instead of any other right now. Yeah. Salvaging Brainstorms, awesome. And like I said a little bit earlier, this deck does require like a lot of hand advantage the later you get into the game. We run 3 of this Asuna's Married Life support. You could run the Silica support instead, but we need more yellow in the deck because our in-game has some yellow. So we run this one instead. Basically 500 power in front, and then whenever you play Climax, you can give a character 1k. Really good at level 1, lets you drop climaxes and get over really silly things. Next, we're going into the level 1 game. This is probably top 3 cards from the new set. It's a 1/0 Shinon. It gains 500 power for every other net and avatar character on the field, but it has Clock Encore. Clock Encore helps you keep hand advantage up at the cost of basically 1 damage. It's one of the best abilities I would say in Weiss for the most part, especially for a level 1 game. And it's costless, which is very important. So this card can get pretty big, especially with the support, and you drop a climax, it gets like 8/5 or something. So you can kill most things. It's one of the main reasons I'm playing Sword Art for this tournament. Also synergizes with the runner, so it gains like 1,000 when the runner attacks too. So it gets pretty big sometimes. Next, since stock is very important for this version, we run this Elizabeth's Changing Clothes. It's from the first set. Basically, when this is on the field, it's always like a 1/07k, which is awesome for the deck since we get a really good power curve at level 1, and including counters and stuff. It makes your field kind of tough to beat at level 1 for the most part without like spending a lot of stock or doing something silly. So this is like a great 1/0 beater, and like I said, our level 1 games red and blue for the most part. So that's why I have those extra red beaters at level 0 to help me get red in my clock and stuff. Finally, we have 3 1/0 commanding, Vice Commander Asuna counters. Basically 1/0 2k counters, super good. Keeps your field really keeps your level 1 game in play, and like your opponent always has to play around a 2k counter. So like your 1/07ks are actually 1/09ks and things like that. So sometimes it baits your opponent into siding even when you don't have the counter. Only have it at 3 right now. Doubt I'd bump it up to 4. I think in the very first version of this deck I had it at 4 for some reason. But now it's just at 3. It's a great card. I do gotta say though, when I play against good players, for the most part, they do play around this counter, which sucks sometimes. But like having the threat there is more important than not. The chance for it happening is more important than like not. So it scares good players into doing making mistakes sometimes. Against bad players, you just get free advantage every turn, which is awesome. Finally, level 2, we run 3 of the 2/1 Shinon support. It's global 1,000 power to avatar and net characters, but it also has change at climax step, pay 2, ditch a card, and then change into the level 3. You don't change that often with this deck, but there are certain situations you do. Sometimes you just put this in the back row and leave it there, and then whenever you need to heal later on or something, you can change if you have no level 3s in your hand, things like that. Running at 3, maybe bump it down to 2, not very sure yet, but right now at 3 it's been pretty good. There has been plays where I have 2 of these in hand, put one in the back row, one in the front, then change early on, which has helped a lot. Next, we run 2 more counters at level 2. Normally, you probably wouldn't run a counter, but this new counter came out in the new set. It's one of the best counters to have. Whenever it's a 2/5 counter, but whenever you use this counter, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's net or avatar, you can add it to hand and ditch a card. This basically says give your opponent +1 soul, and also allows you to hand fix, which is great at the cost of losing 500 power on the counter, which isn't that big of a deal anyway. So this counter can randomly keep you alive or hand fix or help you ditch climaxes and things like that. So this counter is pretty awesome. Have it at 2. I think my friend runs it at 1 in his Japanese version, but I'm not exactly sure. I really love this effect, so I kind of have it at 2 right now. It might turn into 1 later on. Finally, the complete reason playing Sao is the new level 3 Shinon. Has a great climax combo, which is pretty good for the current meta, especially in English. I will run a lot of games tonight, or not tonight, but recently when in testing and at 1 tournament because of the climax combo. So this card, when it comes into play, you can heal 1, and it has a climax combo, which is with the book right here, which we of course run 4 of. If this is in play, when this card attacks, you can pay 2 and discard a card from your hand. If you do, your opponent takes 4 damage, and if that damage is cancelled, it gains 3,500 power. So what's great about this is if you do change into it and use the climax combo, or when you use it, say you burn them for 4 and they cancel. Which is great is you get to mill them a climax for the most part, but then this gains a bunch of power, so it's really hard for your opponent to deal with the very next turn. So it kind of like keeps your field of scary big. And if it is big, it's harder for your opponent to clock shoot it too, which is awesome. And then the last ability is whenever this card gets reversed, you send it to memory. I love this card. It's a great game finisher in the set. Usually I try to play 2 of them and do it twice in 1 turn at level 3 to kill off my opponent. And if they don't cancel, then whatever, they just took 4 damage. So your game plan is basically swing for 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 if you can do it, which requires like 10 stock. But it's still an awesome card, especially if you can get it off twice in 1 game. You usually win that game. Ooh. That level Shinon is pretty silly. Finally, we run 4 of the Asuna's Commanding Strength from the first set. Soul Control is a great thing I love in this game. You can set up like side for one and things like that. So and it's a healer. In English, there's not that many anti-healers you have to worry about, so you don't really care. So like running more healers is great in English. But so basically this card comes into play, heal 1, then on attack, pay 1, ditch a card. All your characters gain 501 soul for the turn. Like I said, Soul Control, awesome. It's at 4, but probably will go down to 3 and like open more slots and then gates, because you don't have to worry about gates, and then we have to run the climax combo for Shinon. So books. It doesn't matter what gate you use. I just had like a lot of this Death Gun gate from the TD. Yeah, this deck is pretty aggressive for the most part. It has a really good level 1 game that you can play with all the way up to level 3. And if need be, you can change into Shinon to deal a lot of damage and make it hard for your opponent to deal with. Anyway, that's a quick breakdown of the English deck I'm planning to run. There should be a lot of change. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of changes, but there should be like a couple major changes to this version when I hit the regional this weekend. I will most likely do a quick video on changes or anything I do on this deck after the regional, and talk about my experience at the regional and like what happened and so forth. Hopefully I come back first place so I can have a fun story to talk about, or at least make it to top 8, so have some fun like silly game stories and things like that for you guys. Anyway, recently made a Facebook page for Burn 1. Check it out. There should be a link somewhere, probably in this video or in the extra information. And go ahead and like that page. We'll be posting up all our articles and videos there, and hopefully kind of get a community going. I've been thinking about like starting a forum for the most part for people to talk about competitive Weiss, since there's not a lot of good outlets to talk about this game at like a competitive level for the people who actually care. Yeah, I heard recently too that like Mexico had like a 200-man tournament for their regional. Hopefully we'll get a good showing, something like that. Here in Southern California, last regional I went to had like 100+ people, so I think that should be pretty easy since it was in Northern California and Sacramento, and it's kind of tough for people to get out there, I think. But yeah, hopefully have a good experience this weekend and you guys enjoy this deck, and I can come back with an updated version for you guys. But I figured I'd get this out right now since I know the set's pretty new, and I think everyone like right now is trying to like find good builds or like still builds for the regional for the most part. Anyway, later guys. Hope you have had fun watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and like and all that stuff. Later.